Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here on this beautiful Saturday for the School Gardens overview. We are going to talk about so many lovely aspects of the School Gardens program with our amazing School Gardens Leadership Committee. We have Neha Shah, Kim Oman, and Cynthia Walters. They're all so involved with all of the school gardens all across the country, and they've been amazing advocates and ambassadors for the program. They're going to tell us all about what's happened over the past year and where we're headed. But first, I want to introduce each of them. Kim Oman is the Slow Food USA Governor for Texas. She is the Garden Network co-chair, Slow Food Dallas-Fort Worth board member, and executive director of the Grow Garden Grow program, which is an organization that supports schools and garden teams growing sustainable school garden programs. And her farming roots run deep from her grandfather, who grew crops in the rich soil of central Ohio. And on any given day, you can find Kim in the garden working side by side with students, teaching them about the land and the food they eat. I think you're going to see a common thread through all of these wonderful speakers. Neha is an elementary educator. She's been teaching in the Ann Arbor Public Schools for 15 years. Her particular passions lie in environmental education, school gardening, and farm to school advocacy. She's a school garden coordinator at the Burns Park Elementary School where she teaches, and she co-chairs the Farm to School Steering Committee where she supports local procurement efforts, the district school gardens, and education around locally grown food. She also serves on the Wellness and Policy Committee for her district, and she loves teaching and has a deep passion for environmental education and advocacy. And believes that students have exceptional voices, and then that and she's focusing on empowering the students as solutionaries. Cynthia is set on transforming the educational system through experiential learning, outdoor education, and by establishing policies focused on improving the health and wellness of school children. And after spending 2 decades as a public school teacher and 15 years managing school garden programs on a local and national level, Cynthia has joined the Sustainability Alliance nonprofit as the Green Schoolyards and Farm to School Curriculum Coordinator. And she's been amazing at cultivating relationships with community partners and providing professional development to produce collaborative models connecting children to nature. All 3 of our speakers today are Snail Blazer Award awardees. They've been very involved with all things slow food for quite some time, and we are so lucky to have them joining us today. Before we get started, I wanted to ask y'all to go ahead and stick your name, location, your chapter, and your favorite plants to grow in the chat. We can get to know each other a little bit. Keep yourself muted to cut down on background noise, and feel free to message through the chat throughout the session as well. So glad to have all you here. We're going to start with Kim, who's going to talk to us about the curriculum and all the hard work that they've been doing there. Kim?
Perfect. Thanks, you guys, for being here. I love it. We could talk school gardens all day. So, I'll hold back for sure because there's 3 of us. Today, I'm going to talk about the school garden curriculum that's available. And you like my swag. This is teacher stuff that we do to be crazy, but, it's Saturday morning. So I want to talk to you about the curriculum that we have and what our goals are moving forward. So probably 6 years ago, 7 years ago, we had a school garden team that was worked out of the Denver group, and they had a partnership with Chipotle and some other heavy hitters, and they were able to get big funding to create curriculum. And so they started with the good, and then they had the clean, and then the fair has not happened because they ran out of money. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that. But in I think it was 2015-ish, that same group pulled together 50 educators from across the United States to meet in the Carolinas, and we met, and for a weekend of being the crazy school garden people in the room, like, because when you find one, you latch onto them automatically. So that's where I met Neha, and that's where I met Cynthia, and that's where I met many, many, many other educators that are still today in this network, because that was such a powerful weekend and really transformational, I think, for almost everyone that was there, and gave fuel to our fire that we were doing the right thing. We were on the right direction. And we had a support network, which was huge, because today, even still, we reach out, with a text or a quick email or a phone call or a Zoom, and find out what people are doing and how to do it. And we get tips and advice and, hey, did you know about this? And so that there's so much information about how to do a school garden, or, school garden 101 and all that out there. You can find that information, but connecting with other people is the most valuable thing that has my takeaway from all of this, is the who really strengthens our movement and makes us all stronger together. So for sure, I hope you're connecting to the crazy garden people in the room. We're stronger together. I just wanted to share, I'm gonna see if I can share the screen. Let's see, let's look at my, okay, it says, yes, I can do that. Okay, and we're gonna go here, and I'm just gonna share the website if you haven't been there. Can y'all see that okay? I can. I hope you can. Someone tell me that if they can't. So this is the website, slowfoodusa.org. And if you haven't ever dug in, it's really kind of cool to see what's out there, because it's very organized and it's gotten so much better. So if you go to the network tab and you go down to school gardens, and pardon me if you've already seen this, but a review is always good. And you'll see on here, there's a lot of good information. The good curriculum is there. And right now, the downfall of that is that you have to download the entire document, which is huge. So we're going to figure out ways to kind of maybe make that easier to use, but you can download the entire curriculum. You can also purchase it. I think they print one-offs for like $75, but let's save some trees and download the curriculum. So good is there, clean is there, and it's all structured very similar. It has the same kind of introduction and the background of slow food, and then it gets into the content of it. And there's lots of cooking activities and stories about people that are doing this work, and programs and things sprinkled in throughout. So it's really, really great. And Gija from Denver was the editor on it. She did a great job. And actually Andy, and she wrote most of the curriculum or pieced it together. And then we're lacking the fair, and we'll talk about that again in a second. But over here, there's some great tabs like COVID, like outdoor learning. I know we're all tired of COVID, but we still probably have things in place, but there's really great information there. And also you can find partner gardens, and it's through the edible schoolyard. So everyone in the United States lists with them, and they kind of are the house for that. And then Plant a Seed, this one, as soon as it's current, which will be coming up soon, and we'll talk about that too, and some Arc of Taste information. And then you can add your school to the directory if it's not there. So that's really great. And then some more resources, our Find a School Garden, join the mailing list. If you're not on it, please do. That's how we, our network gets stronger. There's some garden to cafeteria information, and lots of things to help you with grants. Lots of research information and data that you can use for fundraising, or even, there's been people that have gotten pushback from maybe school administrators about school gardens. And so there's a lot of good information there to back you up. Of course, Neha and Cynthia and I are an open book, and we're happy to help you with that too. And then there's just some other information, but there's really good content here, and they've really done a good job of doing that. So I'm gonna stop my share. Okay. Are there any questions about any of the curriculum, or is there anything that anybody wants to know? Because it's really great. I'm happy to jump in there. The next piece of the fair, I think that's where Cynthia and I jumped on board again we were like, well, who's in charge of the Slow Food Garden Network? And it was like, well, it kind of died because there wasn't funding. And so Cynthia and I was like, well, what about fair? And so we wrangled Neha to join in on this, and we've been talking about it for like 3 years now, maybe even longer. And in in trying to create a fair curriculum, we also want to be fair with the people that are creating the curriculum and not just giving it away, because school teachers are tasked with so many things, and they're not, they're masters at this, and there's so many people that are doing this work, but we wanted to value their work just like we value farmers, and just like we value restaurant workers, and just like we value, medical professionals. But we wanted to be able to pay the people that actually are writing the curriculum a fair shot at what, and supporting their work. So so we have to raise some money. So that's our next part. This is the first chunk of it. We're looking to kickstart it with 5,000, and then we have different goals for each increment that we come across. And rather than putting it out on in a book form, we're going to have it available online and try to piece it all together so that it's accessible to everybody. But it's the really important part of our work, and I think it does come third in the trilogy, but it also is the hardest thing to kind of explain to kids. It's not a real concrete look of what fair is. And so wrapping our brains around that. And I think now more than ever, kids do understand a lot more about fair than they would have, besides their siblings not sharing, their cookies or whatever. But I think, so we're really primed to get this out and get this rolling. So if you could share this, we'll put the link in the chat, but if you can share this in your networks and people that you work with, it's really going to get the ball rolling. And if you follow us along, because we're going to be putting out call outs for submissions for when we actually can start working on the curriculum. So if you have some good stuff, keep it aside, because we'll be wanting that for sure. So that's what I've got, you guys. And I'm really happy to see so many people join us today. And we're stronger together, and the three of us are open books. So really reach out and stay connected, and follow us on the Slow Food USA School Garden Network Facebook page. That's where we put out links to grants and things that are happening within the network, and follow us there, but also sign up for the newsletter, because that will give you some helpful information as well. So thank you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Kim. That's so exciting. I mean, the FAIR curriculum has been a long time coming, but it's going to be so wonderful to have the network supply submissions too. So we'll keep an eye out for when you guys are receiving those. Thank you so much. Next up is Neha to talk about the School Garden Conference. It's coming up in Denver, the first ever. All right, Neha, just let me know when you want me to advance slides for you. Don't forget to unmute yourself.
Yep, I'm working on it. I'm trying to multitask here. I'll share the Facebook page soon. I'm just gonna grab it. All right, so we have a very exciting National School Garden Summit coming up in Denver in April, 21st or 22nd to the 25th. It's a long weekend, Friday through Monday. This is hosted by the Sprouts Healthy Community Foundation. They're working with Life Lab as well, and the SGSO network. So it's really amazing, because this network has tons and tons of resources available. And they have all kinds of programming going on, but they're all partnering together to do this really amazing summit that's going to pull a lot of garden leaders and just amazing, knowledgeable people together to really talk about school gardening, but dive deep into it. So let's go to the next slide. All right. So the summit really is the biggest, I think, school garden conference we're going to see. We have not really had this. I know Kim was talking about how we gathered with Slow Food. I think it was like 5 years ago. It was a while ago. And so we're all just like craving this ability to get together and talk about these things. So this is, educators and directors and school food and district leaders, really researchers, young advocates, just an eclectic amount of different people that are going to come together and work together to, like I said, dive deep into into school gardening. And it's just going to be a really amazing 4 days. So we really encourage you to come. I think everybody knows here that school gardens are super important for our students, and we need to engage them at a very young age, all the way up until, till they're out in the world and they're active participants in the food system. So this is really a nice way to get together, to share what we're doing, and to focus on these things, and really be more intentional about the work that we're doing, spreading it nationally, statewide and locally. So you're taking all this information and kind of bringing it back. And it's just another way to get to meet people. Like, I got to meet Kim and Cynthia, and now we've been working together for, years now on a lot of things. And it's just really fueled me to do more exciting work. So the summit is actually in person, and let me drop the link here. The conference here, actually, there is registration available still. The scholarships are closed at this point. Oops, hold on one second. Let's see if we can get the actual link on here. Let me grab it. There we go. Try that. I don't know if that actually is working or not. Hopefully that works. Anyway, so it's not virtual. I mean, there is a possibility that it, based on COVID and the pandemic, that it could get postponed, but it will not be virtual. They are not going to do any virtual sessions or anything like that. So it is in person. So so the Growing School Garden Summit, you can still register for it. We'll drop that in there too as well. But we can go on to the next slide. I just want to give you kind of an overview what's going to happen. Again, right here, it's just talking, and I'm not going to read through everything, but there's summit themes here, which are really exciting. And there's training and coaching. There's, sharing your impact. There's a lot of research, assessment, and storytelling going on that can really heighten your programs and give data. There's all kinds of, things about taking action and building resilient school garden program models. I mean, there's a really nice, structured information that's going to help grow your programs that you may not be thinking of, or that you're just not sure what to do. And this will guide you towards that. Of course there's, there'll be things about like what to do in the gardens. And so it really ranges. It's not just from, it's not from that bigger height, like do this, all this, you need to be, doing big models. It's not, it's everything. It's, it goes from the beginners to the people who are kind of on the ground running, and then people who really want to take programming to another level. So it's nice to have that differentiation. So we have a schedule overview. Friday is super exciting. You can come on in, and then there are day one experiences that you can, they're like the excursions, you can go, you're going to go out and you can visit some school gardens and things like that. And then on Saturday, most of the sessions and workshops will be going on. There's some evening activities, a lot of activities in the evenings that will bring us together and socialize and connect with each other. Same thing on Sunday, lots of sessions and workshops. And then we're going to have a dinner reception, which will be really fun to get everyone together. And we will follow all of the COVID protocols. So, masking, we'll be asking people, to make sure that they're vaccinated and boosted and so forth. But we will kind of gauge how things go. But I think it's definitely on. And then the day one experiences are really cool because, they have school garden tours, and that's the best. So if you can get there, on that day, please do. You can register for the conference still. They are hoping to have at least, I'd say, like 400 people to come, which is huge. So just imagine you're doing all these really cool things. There's this greenhouse to cafeteria workshop, teaching how to taste and explore delight in vegetables, mindfulness, garden tours, like I mentioned, which is, going to probably fill up really fast. So you should, if you're really interested in this, I highly suggest it. We have an amazing steering committee that's working to plan some extremely fun events, and also just make sure that, you know, we pack everything in, but you can just kind of enjoy and do, you know, what you feel is going to be helpful for you. It's at the Hyatt too in Denver. So they do have blocked rooms if you want to get on that. And it looks like prices are pretty decent for flying into Denver at that time. So, so yeah, join it, come on to the summit, hang out with us. It's going to be amazing.
Thank you so much, Neha. I feel like it's a dream come true for school gardens educators to be able to get together and actually be in person and go see gardens in real time instead of all this virtual business. It's very hopeful. So it's good to know all about this. Next up is Cynthia, going to talk to us about the support that is there for school gardens. Cynthia?
All right, yeah, looking forward to that summit in Denver, back at Denver. Feels like our second home in a lot of respects. So, hello everyone. Well, I'm here to talk about how to connect your chapter to school gardens. And pardon me if some of you, and I bet a lot of you are already doing this, but this is kind of idea generation here. Maybe you didn't think about it, and the three of us being inside education, we kind of know the culture, and cultures can vary from districts to districts. So in asking for your support, I also want to talk about what might be the benefits of connecting the work that your chapter does to school gardens. And I was thinking of a few things. Let's see how. How about it engages more members? How about it grows memberships? Maybe there are chapter subcommittee opportunities that could be dedicated to this work. How about increasing the impact in your region? Or thinking about creating change through action and not just words. And promote the pillars of slow food, including equity. So those are some things to think about as we go through this list of ideas. And really, you're only limited by your own imagination. And with these slides, we're going to walk through a few things, some ideas, who you contact, and then last, I'm going to present you with a model, and then invite you to share your ideas and models that you have within your chapter or working on. Everything's a work in progress, isn't it? There's never closure to this. It's ongoing. So I am not here to read the slides to you, but I am going to point out a few things that will also be in addition, some resources for you. But overall, your chapter as an individual, if you want to lead these efforts in a subcommittee or whatever, is think about joining a school team or district committee. You see maybe some very obvious choices here in volunteering, joining the PTO, and encouraging them to use their funds because they're often looking for places to put their funds. But there's committees within schools that are made up of outside partner organizations that are focused on career building, environmental education at the high school level, and connecting with outside resources. But the one thing I do, and Neha, I know you're on the district wellness committee in your district, consider being a member of the wellness committee. And not a lot of people know that they can do it. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the wellness committee and how to get on the wellness committee. You can find that information as a member of your community at the district website. So right now I'm also working, I'm on the steering committee for the slow food policy to connect a lot of the work that we do with school gardens and putting policies together to guide sustainability of our programs. So I've been working along, and I saw Aaron's on the call here, and interns to put together not just a document, not just an infographic, but a complete toolkit how to help you be a member of the wellness committee. And that will provide you with language for writing food education via school gardens into the district wellness policy. Professional development, when we talk about that, that is working with partners connected to schools. So you're finding some like-minded organizations that work with schools, and you can connect with them and go in as a team, not just as Slow Food as a chapter, but partner with community members and organizations as you see listed here. I mean, my favorite being here in Columbus, Ohio, the Ohio State University Extension, which houses the farm to school nutrition education and the most wonderful people in the world, master gardeners. So the financial support is something that you would assume that we would be asking. So it's not just financial support, it's participation. It's making those words turn into action. But here are some ideas that you could do as a chapter. Your events are connected to the school garden somehow. Your proceeds that go to from your events, like Slow Food Columbus has Shake the Hand That Feeds You, and those proceeds went to the school garden program. But it's always nice to involve and engage the kids in the process, have them speak, have them Iron Chef, all these different ideas are out there to engage them in that process. And people are more willing to participate and engage and donate. And then the last thing, number one, if your chapter could somehow support or help fund a school garden coordinator position within that district, that would really champion and move things forward at a very nice rate. Next slide, please. So who do you call, right? I think this question comes up a lot, but I think you need to be somewhat prepared. You need to kind of inventory, and these are things I know all of you know, or 99%, but I have to say these things just in case, is inventory the talent and the scope of your chapter, to really see what talents and resources you can offer to schools. Be prepared with that and determine who is the best person to communicate and be connecting those dots between organizations, outside organizations, and infiltrating school districts and that culture. So of course the principal, if you're working with individual schools, but if you remember seeing on the first slide, I didn't read it, it's always best to work district-wide, but sometimes you can't do that. And maybe that single school will serve as a model to future school gardens in the district. Does everybody know that there's often in most districts, the larger districts, student and staff wellness director who's in charge of programmings. So here's a list. Again, I'm not going to read to you, but for instance, in my district, I worked with the wellness director, and we did a district wellness expo, brought in people, organizations. We had this district-wide expo. This was many years ago, but it funded our greenhouse and paid for our greenhouse at my school. So it's just, you're limited only by your own imagination. And I cannot talk more, and I will talk more at some point about the district wellness committee. But let me say this. Let me just say this. That is important. Approach is everything. I'm not here to be didactic, right? But I'm just saying, being in school districts, being a teacher low on the totem pole, right? It's important for everybody to know You are not there to tell them how to do things, even though you're probably better at all of this than they are. But rather, you can help how you can, or teach them, educate them in a way, open approach. How can you help them facilitate their mission and goals? So that's the approach I always recommend, because that's not the approach I took 20 years when I started this work with the food service director. So listen and learn about the culture of the wellness committee, for instance. And maybe it's just starting out with a presentation or working with a partner organization that you can come in with, like Farm to School, and say, hey, this is what we can do. No more work on your part, but this, we're waiting in the wings to help you achieve your mission. And then the curriculum district curriculum department. Nobody really thinks about that, but they're fully aware of all the different district committees that you can join to have a voice, not only on the wellness committee, but steering and suggesting and providing your talents and resources for programming, not just in school, but after school and even during summer school programs. I have mentioned a couple places here, equity. So at this point, this is somewhere, if they're looking for the wellness committee, the district curriculum, if this is your opportunity to show equity. This is your opportunity to support programs that are rooted in equity. All right, last slide. How are we doing on time? Okay. All right. So real quick, I just want to share, and this was many years ago, just one model. And this is through Slow Food Columbus, Low Tunnels for School program. In all transparency, it is no longer going. I started that, I shifted roles. And then the good news was that my work wasn't needed any longer, because based on all of this, the district took over, the curriculum department took over, and the food service department took over, and actually is now paying a school garden coordinator. So the school, the model was Low Tunnels for Schools, for the idea that you are not asking teachers to work over the summer, but you are allowing students to grow and harvest during the school year. And in Central Ohio, this model worked quite well. So this model that I put together started out with 12, and I worked with Columbus. I'm now working with Cincinnati City Schools, so I'm going to say both of them interchangeably. But I was working with Columbus City Schools, and we started out with 12, and now there's over 80 school gardens within the district over the past 3 years. So Slow Food Columbus, that program was instrumental in the hiring of the full-time school garden coordinator, and now serves as a model for school districts, not even in cold weather climates or cool weather climates. So I have talked way far too much. And if you have questions about the toolkit, if you have questions about the Low Tunnel program, I think our information is included somewhere. But let me turn things over to, and I'm just looking at time, we're doing pretty well, aren't we? And I do want to open up the floor here and ask you, what are your ideas for a school garden model? Now, this is where you don't have one, because I want those people, like for instance, East End has an incredible model, and one of those ideas, and it's based on your chapter's focus. You can align that with what is your scope. Every chapter is so unique. So for instance, you have a wonderful relationships with chefs, restaurants. This is a way to connect. How about that students grow produce in the greenhouse under a tunnel, and the restaurants are paying the schools, the kids who are growing this produce to put into their restaurants. I mean, that is just one idea. So
Cynthia, would
I'm
you
just
like?
looking at, yes,
Yeah,
looking at my notes.
Yeah,
So
we
go
can have
ahead.
like 5 minutes or so for discussion. If folks would like to raise their hand, we can definitely have you unmute yourself if you have some suggestions. Maybe that's easiest. If you have any contributions, anyone, feel free to unmute yourself and share.
And was there anything that came up in the chat that needed to be answered as well?
Everyone's very much appreciating all the links to go get more resources. Looks like we have Rachel. Rachel, go ahead and unmute yourself.
My biggest question with trying to start a new program is, when is a great time to suggest the students get involved, AKA in the daily, weekly, monthly activities? Is it more of an after school program, or is it incorporated more with, like you said, the science class, or maybe a class of its own that they could take as like an elective, as opposed to maybe an art class, or kind of shift and rotate those in a cyclical way?
Can I ask you a question? What grade level are you working with?
Elementary school.
So I can take a little bit of that and then pass it on if anyone wants. But when I started the garden program, we involved the kids right away to do visioning with the team. So what we did was we had a team with a parent and staff members, and then we solicited help from students. And what we did was we actually incorporated that in our art class, so they could do some mixed media work, and they had a vision that what they wanted to see in the garden. So I think it's important to, hear their voice right away. And then you can do it any way you want, really. We like to integrate it in the curriculum as well as provide maybe a lunchtime, opportunity, or if you can do an after school opportunity, you could connect with your rec and ed and have it as a class. There are lots of strategies that people do, and depending on where you are and what your structure is and how that works. But oftentimes there are garden coordinators that just take classes out to the garden, and do work out there. And so if you have a garden coordinator who can be on site while teachers are coming out and you're doing activities, that's another way to do it. So
Hey, can I speak to that too? Because I have a bunch of different models that I've worked with. The one I've been at the longest has been 10 years with that program. And when we first started, I was actually a teacher in the classroom. And so we didn't really have the space for me to go out unless I took sick days and took the kids out all day. But we started it as an after school program. And so the first year, and we had the whole community helped build it and get it going. And we had a bunch of hype about that. But when we started it as a school, after school program, the first year, 26 kids signed up. The second year, 84 kids signed up. And the third year, 220 kids signed up out of 450 kids for an after school 45 minutes in the garden. And so we were on to something. And so you have to kind of start small with things, and you don't suddenly have this program. It takes a while to build in sustainability, and it takes a while to start from, bare ground to producing food, to give it into the food bank, to now after 10 years, every student comes out for 30 minutes a week of integrated classroom instruction during the school day. So it doesn't happen overnight. Some of the schools where I work, the art teacher is the garden person, because the art teacher touches all the people. And so she brings out the kids and incorporates lessons into art. At another school where I work, the PE teacher is the garden champion, and she touches every kid. So she brings them all out. So there's a bunch of different models, and one size does not fit all. And so it's really about the makeup of your school community. And honestly, it's what the school wants, not what people coming from the outside want. It's supporting them in however you can. So there you go.
Awesome. Thank you, you three. Rachel, I hope that answers your question. These coordinators of the Slow Food Garden School Gardens Committee are a font of information. And if you have further questions for them, I'm sure they'd be happy to talk to you offline. And Molly, you have your hand up. Go ahead and ask your question, and then we'll move on after Molly's question. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yes. Well, I want to give you a point of view of the Slow Food chapter. In 2016, we just decided we were going to declare ourselves a school gardens chapter and make that the focus of everything we did. And we didn't really know what that meant. Andy Nowak called me up and asked me a bunch of questions, but we didn't know what that meant. So I had a small committee of my slow food people, and we started calling and identifying what schools had gardens. And in 2016, there weren't very many. What schools had gardeners, who was interested, and we kind of went at it on the teacher level because the teachers were the champions, and just got to know them, support them, helped them network, supplied them with seeds, did a school garden tour, funded a school garden tour down to Tucson, which has a wonderful, wonderful school garden program in place. And the reason why I'm talking is my #1 school gardens champion, Ashley Fine, who's on this call. She's at a basketball game and cannot speak to you because it's too noisy. So we followed that really closely for 2 years. We did nothing that didn't have the schools and the kids and the school gardens as our primary focus for our entire chapter. And I lost a few members, but we also gained some members. And now we have that relationship and that community. And our Prescott is a small town, getting larger all the time. But when the Prescott Unified School District hired a school gardens coordinator, that was a cause for celebration. We were really primary in just spreading this idea. So any of you here who are slow food leaders, but not necessarily involved in school gardens directly, this is one good way to go about it.
Yeah, and I love that you said that, Molly, just because, and this is my belief, and it's just an opinion, but with the different, and now I'm working with Cincinnati public schools, is that school garden coordinator often, connects the dots from curriculum to wellness to the food service department. Is they are the ones who are able to provide PD, professional development and learning, to the educators. So they are all on the same page. They're not just overwhelmed, but they're also introduced to resources and partner organizations that can do the work or come in and help them do the work. So that's where that coordination plays a huge role in your sustainability of whether a school garden is going to be around for 3 years, 5 years, or 10 years, because that coordinator takes care of that evolution.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's really.
I put my email in the chat in case anybody wants to contact me. I also, this past year, the COVID year, I started a project called Grow Food in Your Backyard, which is really community wide, but it wasn't all backyards. I mean, it was schoolyards, it was churchyards. It was, and this year we're continuing it, looking for more community garden spaces. And we matched up master gardeners and experienced gardeners with beginner gardeners one-on-one and built a big program. We got a local grant. We got a lot of donations. Having the master gardeners as partners was like gold, because people don't know what slow food is, but they all know what the master gardeners and the extension office is, and every one of you has an extension office there. And I just matched all the teachers who were school garden teachers who had gardens with teachers who didn't, or who wanted to start up. And we supported them. We had seeds, we had plants, we had dirt, we had builders who built beds. So if you want to contact me, that's great. I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you, Molly. That's a true testament to, you know, partnering and the power of having partnerships between chapters and multiple organizations, and like the very celebrated master gardeners. They are so helpful. I want to get to Shirley before we move on to the last section of our session. So Shirley, why don't you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Oh, thank you. Good morning, everybody. We are just beginning our slow school garden project program, or whatever you want to call it. And we had an idea that came up with a group. As you know, Las Vegas has hundreds and hundreds of chefs. And we thought, when we harvest the school garden, that we would ask some chefs to come in and teach the kids what to do with those carrots, or what to do with that lettuce, or whatever we grew. So that's one idea that we have on our list of things to do with that school garden. Just wanted to know if anybody else was doing that. And also, I just want to mention really quick that the teacher of the year is from Las Vegas, and her name is Juliana Udbury, something like that. And she is like the queen of school gardens in Las Vegas. And and we talk about fair and justice, but she was at a school where the kids were mostly Hispanic. And the way that she got her parents in, well, she speaks Spanish, but she brought in these parents and got the teachers, the other teachers involved in speaking with those parents. And by the way she did that was to meet the parents as they brought the kids to school, and speaking to them and getting them excited about the school garden. So they had a lot of volunteers and a really successful program. Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. Like our speakers today have said, there's so many ways to go about doing this and to connect with other people. Connecting with chefs is a really great way to do that. And, you know, Slow Food has the Cooks Alliance too. And one of the things that I want to talk about next is the Plant a Seed, Share a Seed program that Slow Food USA has had every year. Plant a Seed as a kit has been very tied to the School Gardens project over the years, providing seeds, providing some, basically just the raw materials for these school gardens. And this year we're taking that model and making it a year-long program. And, you know, all of us have been involved in Slow Food in some facet or another over the years. And I think we can all agree that sometimes the groups are very siloed, you know, like School Gardens is just working with School Gardens, and Cooks Alliance is just doing Cooks Alliance stuff. Slow Fish is just doing Slow Fish thing. What we would love to have happen this year is have there be some crossover between the groups. And so this example of having cooks and chefs partnering with School Gardens in other ways is really exactly what we're talking about with having a unifying theme this year. As many of you have heard, if you came to the State of the Snail address that Anna gave on Thursday, the focus of the Plant a Seed kits this year is going to be beans. Beans are uniquely poised to help teach us about climate, health, and food justice. You'll see this diagram many times. I'm giving a talk about the Plant a Seed program tomorrow, Sunday, at 7 p.m. Eastern. So if you haven't signed up for that, please do. I will go in depth, but I just wanted to show you how we're imagining each group of the slow food programming to connect to that theme this year. And specifically with schools, I mean, having one specific crop is it's a difference for the Plant a Seed program this year. Usually it's like a full garden in a kit, but we've come up against some zone, when you have climactic zones, different climactic zones throughout the United States, sometimes certain things don't grow great in other regions of the country, but with beans are so adaptable. We're hoping that everybody is going to be able to have success with the Plant a Seed kit this year. We're showcasing 6 varieties that are from the Arc of Taste. And we're hoping that chefs will be interested in hosting some dinners. The kids will be able to not only just plant the seeds, grow the seeds, eat them, but also saving seeds is going to be a big component of the Plant a Seed this year. And I'm introducing this as another option or another way for chapters to engage with school gardens. Maybe there can be some copacetic programming. Maybe there's some seed library or seed swap opportunities to be done with school gardens that a chapter could spearhead, that kind of thing. Mostly, I just wanted to drop this here to start the wheels turning and have it be a note of inspiration as we wrap up our day today. The Plant a Seed kit and the whole campaign is actually going to be going live on February 10th. So we're going to have a landing page and a purchase page, and each Plant a Seed kit that's purchased will be donating one to school gardens. So there's definitely a lot of reasons to be participating with the Plant a Seed project this year. So on February 10th, it's World Pulses Day, which pulses, legumes, and beans are all in the same group. We're partnering with the FAO to do a Slow Food Live to officially launch the Plant a Seed campaign on the 10th. So you'll hear a lot more about it starting in February. So let's see. Now, I think Cynthia, Kim, and Neha, do you want to open it up to any more questions? We have about 5 minutes if we want, or we could wrap up.
Can I just put a quick shout out? And I don't know if you can go back to my slide, but we did a Snail Kids art contest, and you see the winner in the bottom left-hand corner. So you'll be able to buy some swag, some t-shirts very, very soon. So it's always great. I mean, if you're looking to promote and not only promote your project and also raise funds for your individual school or district, this is the way. You can have a design contest and you have walking billboards, right? And for X amount of dollars in the district, I mean, for me, another project like I did many years ago was a substantial chunk of change.
Another great idea.
So her interview, and look for that on the website soon, and hear from her. I'm excited. Zoe Bradshaw, Columbus, Ohio, or just north.
I can't wait to see that. Awesome. Okay. While we're wrapping up here, Neha, if you could put the link for the survey. I really love how many folks came to this session. It really helps us with our programming. If you can take a quick little couple minutes to do a survey for us, give us some feedback. Before we wrap up, are there any more questions? Any more feedback or ideas?
I just want to thank everybody for coming today, for giving us your Saturday, and for caring about school gardens and being a part of this. You're in the network now, or maybe have been for years, but the more that we connect, the stronger we'll be together, and let's grow that school garden army for sure.
Yeah, I wanted to say the same, really, and also just, reach out if you have any questions. We can talk school gardening all day long, and we like to. So if you want to pick our brain, we're happy to. I'm happy to set up a Zoom call anytime and really just chat and or even, you know, phone calls or whatever, email, whatever's easier, but we do want to share the information, and we really want to strengthen what we do, and join us. You know, we're always looking for people to come onto the committee and help us. And if you're interested, you know, reach out, let us know. We have so many great things we want to do, and we really want to get going with this fair curriculum and engage our, you know, our leaders. So if you're interested, let us know.
And we put
Yeah,
all
and
our
the
emails.
time,
Our
the
emails
time
are on the
is,
chat.
yeah, the time is ripe. A lot of school districts are saying we can't deal with this right now. That's okay. That means to get organized. That means to gather your resources, create these partnerships, and be ready, because when the students are ready, the teachers are going to be ready. Educators are looking for new ideas for purposeful instruction, and they need mental wellness, outdoor activity, and time themselves. So let's think about and shout out to the educators, food service directors, and all those people that make this possible.
And a shout out to the three of you. Thank you for giving us your time and your your generosity with all your expertise is really appreciated. That's how this will grow. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I'm going to stop my share, and maybe we can take a moment and say goodbye and thank you, and enjoy the rest of your wonderful weekend. Everyone go ahead and unmute and say goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone. Have a great day and weekend.
Thank
Take care of
you.
yourselves. Bye.
So much.
I'm just putting our presentation in the link in the chat. So if you want to take a look at that, Mara, is that okay with you to share that?
It is, yeah. There'll be a consolidated place for all the presentations.
Yeah, I'll put the link in there right now so that everyone can take a look. 1 second, just getting that linked up.
And then I will make sure the share permissions are all there for everybody to be able to look at.
Thanks, Mara, for making us look good. You're good.
The rock stars here. Thank you. It's so great.
Couldn't have done it without you.
Yeah, it's
We would
awesome.
just be the whole time.
That's the hard part. Well, yeah, it's hard to do it all.
Awesome.
1 second, I'm just changing the.
Hey, and Shirley, while you're still on there, I want to talk. We want to talk to your Teacher of the Year person. Oh, you're muted.
Okay, am I still muted?
No, now you're good. But we want to. I sent you a message in the chat, but we'd love to speak with your Teacher of the Year champion.
Well, I would like to see her be a speaker at your Denver summit. But we did have her at our opening event, at our launching event, and wonderful, sweet person, teacher. But we are trying to get her to join our group. So we certainly will extend that to her.
Can you give me her email, or can I take your email and I'll send you a note to send to her or something?
Certainly.
What's your email?
Certainly. It's REYSAN at cox.net.
Perfect. Okay. I will be reaching out to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for supporting School Gardens.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Thank you.
All right, everybody, don't forget to get outside and get some fresh air.
I know. Adios, amigos. Mwah. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Blaze.